Hey, I was gonna make a video about something normal, gambling in Pokemon, Zelda being Shakespearean fanfiction, the usual. But then I discovered that we're living in a timeline where office supplies are being sold for more than luxury cars, and CEOs apparently are promising to include their underwear in charity auctions. And honestly, at this point, I think we need to have a serious conversation. What are we doing? This is a stapler. This is an everyday black office stapler, one you'd steal from work and no one would probably notice. Something you typically find for about $5. Someone just paid $250,000 for it. Not because it belonged to a celebrity, no. Not because it was blessed by biblically accurate Dragonite, but because it accidentally poked holes in a video game console. Okay, so to understand how we got to a $250,000 stapler, a bit of context. June 5, 2025, the Nintendo Switch 2 had just launched. Yada yada yada, big deal. Yada yada yada, why is it so expensive? Yada yada yada, still no menu themes. People had been waiting 8 years for this thing. Now, it's not Winds of Winter waiting, and it's not Stranger Things Season 5 waiting, but something in between. Essentially, it was a while. People were waiting a while. So by the time June 5 rolled around, people were ready to riot if anything went wrong. If anything else went wrong. Enter our hero, GameStop employee in Staten Island working the midnight launch. Minimum wage worker dealing with probably a line of caffeinated gamers who'd been waiting outside for hours and they're just trying to get through their shift without an incident. So, naturally, they grab their trusty stapler to attach the receipts to the console boxes, standard procedure, except apparently nobody told them that the Nintendo Switch 2 boxes had the structural integrity of the second tower. The staplers went right through the boxes and punctured the screens of multiple consoles. So customers opened their brand new gaming systems to find two perfect little holes in the display. Now, GameStop did the right thing, and they replaced all the damaged consoles. But the internet, being the internet, had already gotten hold of the story. And you know how that goes. Within hours, Staplegate was trending. Now, most companies would probably just issue an apology and hope everyone forgets about it in a week. But GameStop, no. GameStop looked at this PR disaster and thought, you know what? Let's auction off the stapler. I'm not kidding. Their official response was to put the infamous stapler along with one of the damaged consoles and even the carefully extracted staple up for auction on eBay. And get this, they just called it their version of corporate accountability. Corporate accountability. As if the most responsible thing you could do after your employee accidentally destroys customer property is to sell the weapon of destruction itself to the highest bidder. That's like plopping Flight 175 on eBay. But wait, it gets better, because this is where Ryan Cohen, GameStop CEO and famously not a Cohen brother, enters the chat. Ryan posted on Twitter, no! That if the auction reaches 6 figures, he would personally include his underwear in the package. The CEO of a publicly traded company promised to mail his underwear to a stranger if people bid enough money.
And are you going to sign the underwear?
I will sign the underwear. Whether it will advance the price or not, I'm not sure. We'll see.
On a stapler. And somehow that is only the second most controversial thing a CEO did this month. And you know what? It worked. The bidding immediately started climbing because apparently nothing motivates people to spend money quite like used undergarments. Okay, let's talk numbers because this is where things get truly insane. So the auction ran for a week, and by the time it was closed, there were 282 bids. 282 people actively participated in bidding on a stapler. The final price? $250,000. Yes, I mentioned it before. Yes, it's in the title. Still, it's shocking! $250,000! Let me put that in perspective for you. A brand new Nintendo Switch 2 costs $500 USD. The stapler sold for about 500 Nintendo Switch 2s. You could buy a really nice house in Melbourne for... You could buy a house in Melbourne for... You could afford a deposit in Melbourne? For $250,000, you can afford a deposit for a house in Melbourne. You could buy a Lamborghini. Or you could just buy a stapler that once poked holes in a Switch 2. For some reason, people bid because they saw it as a piece of gaming history. Others wanted to own what they called the first officially stapled console. People were like meme collectors who thought it could be the ultimate conversation piece. And yes, some people probably just wanted Ryan Cohen's underwear. And that's when I realized what we're really looking at here. This isn't just a story about a stapler. This is a story about us, about a society that will spend $250,000 on a piece of office equipment because it has a good story attached to it. What is it, Brand the Broken?
And who has a better story?
About a culture where viral fame could turn literally anything into a collectible. I could stand here and make fun of this all day. And believe me, part of me wants to. We're living in a world where people will pay more for a stapler than most people make in 4 years just because it has a funny story. That's how do you say, a pretty stupid. But here's the thing that actually gives me hope in all this madness. Every single dollar, every single cent of that $250,000 went to the Children's Miracle Network hospitals. Every dollar. GameStop didn't keep a cent. That's pretty fucking badass. So yeah, we live in a weird world where CEOs promise their underwear and office supplies sell for more than cars. But we also live in a world where people will collectively spend $250,000 to help sick kids, even if the excuse is completely bonkers. And honestly, maybe that's the most human thing about this whole story. We found a way to turn a corporate disaster, a viral meme, and our collective obsession with weird collectibles into something that actually helps people. GameStop went from being a meme stock to having a meme stapler to just helping kids in a hospital. It's absurd. It's ridiculous. It makes no sense whatsoever, and yet it happened and it worked. So what do you think? Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed watching this video, maybe hit that subscribe button, because honestly, I kinda just want that hit of dopamine that happens when the number goes up. So make that number go up, baby.